Hello everyone, it's Danielle here. Today I'm going to be sharing some tips with you to help you with your posture and prevent injuries by showing you the benefits of stretching. And so we're going to go through some demonstrations and then we'll get to that in just a few minutes, but I just want to start off to just let you know my background has been in physical therapy for over 25 years, helping out patients from all ages. And so before we get started, I wanted to start with a word of prayer, okay? All right, we're going to bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to understand how we have been marvelously and wonderfully made by you. And dear Lord, there's so many movements and faculties about the human body, so many that are hidden, but also those that are above that we can see. So dear Lord, please guide us through this presentation as we demonstrate to your people these help tips so that way they can have a more fruitful and bountiful life and be prepared for these times to come. So dear Lord, we know that you're with us. Thank you so much for blessing us today, and we know that your will be done. And I just ask that you speak through me so I can help others. In your name, amen. All right, so we're going to go to the first little bit before we get started is a disclaimer, and I'm going to read that for you. The information provided is designed for educational purposes only and reflects the biblical lifestyle designed by God for our health and happiness. The information presented is not to be used as medical advice or to diagnose or treat disease. Rather, it reflects our conviction as Bible-believing Christians in regard to our biblical understanding of how to cooperate with God in the work of healing. Therefore, the use or misuse of any information is at the sole risk and discretion of the user. The presenter is not liable for any negative effects or worthy of praise for any positive results. For diagnosis, treatment, or any other procedures, including allopathic medical advice, see your doctor. For healing, see the great physician. All right, so we're going to get into, I like to share a couple of verses from the Bible to just show us who's really in charge, which is our Heavenly Father. So in Psalms 139, verse 13 and 14, he says, "For thou hast possessed my reins. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well." So with this verse, I've had the opportunity to experience and work with the human body. And it's so amazing every time we deal with a new diagnosis or a new injury, every body responds differently. And so it's so important that we are able to understand God's laws and use these tools to better for our body to function and for us to feel lively and feel so good. The next verse I want to share is Exodus 15:26. This one has gotten very popular in the recent trainings that we've had with Barbara O'Neill in the trainings of disease and how we are to work with the 8 laws of health. And so in Exodus 15:26, it says, "And said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, and wilt do that which is right in his sight, and wilt give ear to his commandments, and keep all of his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth thee." And so this is a wonderful promise that's given to us, that if we heed the Lord's commands and we follow these laws of health and how to better our bodies, then he tells us that he will heal us, that we will not have these infirmities, these diseases, or these injuries. And so that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, is injury as well, preventing that. Because I do believe and we know that in these end times, we will probably not be able to see a doctor or have medical help. So it'll be very important to keep our bodies limbered up to prevent these injuries that we will not be able to go to medical help for. I have a quote here in the Desire of Ages, page 824, paragraph 3. It says, Christ had been the guide and teacher of ancient Israel, and he taught them that health is a reward of obedience to the laws of God. The great physician who healed the sick in Palestine and spoke to his people from the pillar of cloud, telling them what they must do and what God would do for them. When they fulfilled the conditions, the promise was verified to them. And so with this being said, the Lord promises us, but we must obey. And the key is obeying the Lord because we love him. And so we're going to get into stretching and what it's about and the benefits of stretching. So I have for you, number 1, stretching decreases muscle stiffness, thereby increasing the joint range of motion. So a lot of us, sometimes if we overdo it during the day, we wake up and from bed and we get up in the morning and we're stiff. And so stretching is really going to help out with that stiffness. Or if we've overdone it in exercise or we've slept wrong, the quickest way to get over that pain and stiffness is stretching. The next benefit is it prepares the body for stress. What does that mean? So for stress, it could be just like it says, the stress of the day, of what we have coming on that day. This way our muscles are not tense, and then therefore we start getting out of alignment, but also the stress that we put on. If we're going to be out in the garden, if we are going to be carrying things, whatever it is that we might be doing, this stress that we put on the body, and we know that there's positive, good stress, and there's negative, bad stress as well. So this prepares the body for all of that stress. The next is it improves performance in daily activities. So who would like to increase their performance on our daily activities? So stretching is going to help you do that. So that way you'll be highly performing, and not athletes, but workers for God. The next one would be improves posture and creates better alignment. And that's what we're going to go in today as well. So what we don't realize is when our bodies are out of alignment, other muscles have to kick in to tighten and hold the body in place. And so with that, being able to stretch and keep those muscles loosened up so we can keep in good alignment, we're going to feel much better. Next one is it enhances muscle relaxation by reducing muscle tension. So again, we have the stresses of the day. We're busy going out and about. And obviously we're praying during the day, asking the Lord for help to guide us, to lead us, to give us the strength and the power to go through that day. But also we get so tight and we get from sitting too much or from being on the computers or on our phones, our bodies are in the wrong position. And so that creates that tension in our muscles. Number 6, it enhances nutrient transport by increased blood supply to the muscles and joints. So God has made our body designed to have all of our nerves and blood supply go through our muscles and innervate everything so we can move, or whatever it might be, from the brain. And so what it's going to do is by stretching those muscles from them not being tight, now those nerves can function properly, and we can get the nutrients that we need to the muscles, the amino acids, our proteins, everything can be sent where it needs to go. Number 7, what I've already talked about, reduces risk of injury. And so on that. Number 8, reduces pain caused by muscle stiffness. So we know that if we've overdone it, we do have some pain and some of that stiffness. Number 9, increased flexibility of muscles. So it's important that we're flexible. How many of us, we have limited shoulder range? Maybe we can't reach up on that shelf where we need to, or maybe we can't reach down and tie our shoes. And so this is going to help us as we stretch more. You're going to see that's going to help your flexibility to make these simple movements or activities that we do during the day a little bit easier for you. And last 10, it relieves muscle soreness as we go through this. All right, how to stretch properly. So that is the question. How do we stretch properly? So stretching should invoke a mild feeling of tightness or tension within the stretch muscle and no more. So if you're really pushing yourself and you're having pain, that is a no-no. So you just want to push that stretch so you just have a little tension right there. Pain when stretching indicates an injury or a muscle that has been overstretched. If you experience pain at all, stop stretching immediately and never stretch beyond a comfortable tightness. So you should feel when you go into the stretch, as we demonstrate some today, you're just going to go to where you feel a mild tightness. It should be comfortable, not painful. That is the key. The next one is stretching guidelines. Each stretch should be held 15 to 30 seconds and repeated 2 to 4 times, okay? So we don't need to do a lot. It's not like when you're working out to build a muscle where you have to do a lot of reps. Stretching is just a couple of times throughout the day is going to be good. Don't bounce. A lot of people want to go into a stretch and they want to push and push and push like this. That bouncing is going to do some tearing in your muscle and cause some injury. And so we don't want that. On the next slide, we'll go into that. It actually contributes also to muscle tightness. So as you see here on this slide, in the top right-hand corner, this is just a portion of your muscle. And you can see that in this bundle that makes your muscle, there's all these small little circles there. And then what has come out, as you see, it's been magnified. One circle now that comes out has multiple circles in it, and that circle has multiple circles. So it makes all these fibers that makes your muscle belly that you have. And so what happens is if we're bouncing when we're stretching, or if we do a weekend activity that we're not normally used to, now you're waking up and you're in extreme pain and you're tippy-toeing around because you're hurting. So what's happened is you have torn some of these little fibers there. And then also that will build up lactic acid in the muscle. So the soreness is the lactic acid, but if you're having the pain with stretching, that means that you've done micro tearing to some of these fibers. So that's why it's important. You don't want to stretch it. You can rub it, put some ice on it. A couple days later, start doing some mild stretching and then work through it. So that's the key. So it's very important that we understand how our muscle is made up and these fibers and the damage that we can do to them. Is breathing important? Yes, absolutely. We learned how important it is to inhale, breathing in and out of our nose to get the proper oxygen exchange. And so deep breathing is important while stretching. It enhances the stretching experience. Not only does breathing help relax into the stretch, but it also helps you get the most of your stretching routine. Do not hold your breath. Okay, so the key on that is as we stretch. So if I were to hold my breath, now I get tight, okay, and I can't stretch properly. So what I want to do is go into my stretch and make sure I'm breathing in and out. So then that way that muscle can relax and stretch properly. Next one, should we stretch every day? Yes, as long as you are not overdoing it. It is better to stretch for a short time every day instead of stretching for a long time a few times a week. All right, so a little bit of stretches here and there. So as I go throughout my day, I will do a stretch here, there, or else you can take 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, okay, to do your stretches. When do we see results from stretching? You'll start seeing minimal results in a matter of days because you'll feel some of that stiffness going out. But in order for us to get physiological changes, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to start seeing those changes and muscle length, increased joint movement, better posture, and increased performance. So just because you've done a stretch today doesn't mean that's enough. We need to continually do that, okay, on that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have my husband Greg come up, and we're going to demonstrate a few of these stretches. But one other thing that as he's coming up, I'm going to talk about is, number one, before you stretch, is it's important to warm up, okay? We're going to warm up, and let's go ahead and show them how you can warm up. So there's different ways just to warm up, and you can go ahead and start marching just like that. And we usually say warm up for about 5 minutes, okay, on that. Now, if we want to get the heart rate up a little bit higher, then you can start putting your arms above your heart, okay, so you can raise them up and down, all right? And that is going to help us get warmed up. Also, bringing the arms out to the side and coming up and down just like this. Some people like to do circles, so you could do circles one way and then the back. Keep those feet moving. That way you're going to just get yourself warmed up. Okay? Also, stepping side to side, just like this, warming up those legs. All right? And so we're not going to do the full 5-minute warm-up, but those are just some ideas to get yourself loosened up and warm up before we are going to go ahead and start stretching. Now, one thing before, as you come up here, our muscles are designed to go over a joint or two joints, okay? So for example, on my forearm right here, I have muscles that just come below the elbow, but that muscle and the tendon will attach by my wrist here. So that is going to allow me to do a simple movement like this, all right? Now I have a biceps. This is my upper arm muscle right here. Now this muscle's longer and it's going to go across two different joints. And so that one starts here below the elbow and it comes and it attaches right up here underneath this shoulder muscle here. So now that's going to help me go like this and like this movement, okay? So now what's important is when we stretch, if we have a longer muscle that's going over two joints, then we want to stretch it over those two joints, or else most of the time the stretches are going to just stretch over the one joint, okay? On that. So if you look at the muscle man, or even up here, and also, which I can show a little bit closer, this is the bicep muscle that I was just talking about here. And then now this is the deltoid muscle that comes over the top. So you do have a handout, and there should be a link in the description box for you to print this out, and we have stretches for you on that. So what will happen is the muscles that you can't see where they end, like this one, that's going to be one of your longer muscles. These right here that you can see where they end up, those are going to just be over one of the joints. And you'll have a diagram, which is right here that you can see on your screen. So any of the muscles, if you look at it, because we're going to give you stretches for your neck, for your shoulder, for your arm, hips, thighs, all the way down from head to toe. And so when you look at these muscles on this diagram, if you can see where they end, then that's one joint. If you can't see where they end, now that's going to be two joints, and we'll explain that as we demonstrate some of these exercises and these stretches. All right, so first of all, we're going to start with the neck. These are going to be neck stretches. A lot of us are on our phones, computers, always forward. Okay, our body is supposed to be upright, more open, but because we're doing everything in front of us most of the time, then these muscles get shorter. And it's the same thing with our neck. Our neck is taking a toll with being on our phones, computers, and things like that. So the first one is that you can see is just, the main thing is having your posture nice and tall. And on this one, the guy is just taking his ear to his shoulder. You keep looking forward, straight ahead, while you do the stretch, and then you can use your hand to grab a little bit of tension and just do a nice stretch right there. Again, you would hold this for 15 to 30 seconds. I usually would say 15 seconds. Unless I have a larger muscle that's really stiff, then I'll hold it for the 30, okay? Good, right there. Now the next one is that he's going to go at an angle. So if you look at your picture, it's more at an angle, just like that, and then go ahead, put a little pressure. So then what I like to do is think about like I'm doing a clock. So straight to my shoulder is going to be 9 o'clock. Then I would do 10, 11, and then you can go straight ahead to 12 o'clock, both hands, like that. And then you can come back around to 1, 2 o'clock, and then straight up, and then ear to shoulder, just like that. So that's what some of these diagrams are showing you of what you can do. And there is a description, and it walks you through these stretches and exactly what to do. Another important one is called a chin tuck. And so you're going to look straight ahead, and as you look at the picture there, it's going to be the second one down on the left. And you're going to, basically, you're pushing your head and chin back. That's going to stretch those muscles because we're always being forward on our phones, and you'll see people with posture like this. And so for us to correct that is pushing back. And so some people can go against a wall and push their head, go ahead. So push your head into my hand right here against a wall, if that helps you out a little bit better. The main thing is keeping your face nice and straight and in alignment. All right, the next one, looking shoulder side to side. So you're going to go ahead and twist and hold that for 15 seconds, then over to the other side as well on that. All right, our next body part that we're going to go to is going to be a shoulder. So there's one, let's go to the one to the right there. Arm's going to be straight on out, straight out in front of you, and you're going to use that other hand to give you some tension and stretch that shoulder capsule. Let's go ahead and do this other side so I can point it out. So what you're doing is you're stretching this part right here, okay, which is very important. Again, we're going to do one, yes, that's forward. We're going to go opposite on that one there, okay? So next one, we're going to go up over the head, just like that. You can reach with the other side and pull. That is going to go ahead and stretch these muscles right in through here. Okay, so again, we're pulling ourselves out of that forward flexed posture. So anything we can do to get out of that. All right, so the next one, we're gonna stand up. You're gonna reach behind your back. Let's go back to the top one up there and turn around. Turn around so they can see. There you go. You're gonna be pulling down the one right there. So again, we're up nice and tall, okay? So as long as we're up nice and tall, looking straight ahead, keeping our face neutral. We don't want to be like this or too far like that. Just looking nice straight ahead and doing that stretch just like that. All right. The next one, you can go ahead and face me, is going to be straight on back like this. There you go. So that's going to get stretching up here in this area because we are forward on the computer or driving or whatever it is that we do. Most of the time we're forward. We want to open this up right here on that. All right. The next one as well, we can demonstrate that right here on the table, is reaching out and putting your head down. And that way you're going to stretch that shoulder. So the shoulder has so many functions. It can go all the way around. This one, it just goes up and down. It's just a lever like that. Whereas the shoulder has all of these functions. And so we want to hit all of those muscles and make sure that we are limber on that. All right? And then the next one would be opening up this area right here. You can stay right there. And so this one is showing you can do it in a doorway. So anytime you pass a doorway at home, you can stop and do this stretch. You can do one arm, so go ahead and push, as if I was the doorway right here. You can push and lean forward into it, and that way you're going to stretch these muscles. These are your pectoralis muscles, okay? A lot of those, go ahead and relax. A lot of those are getting shorter because, again, we're forward. So this one is key. So when you walk through a doorway, do one arm. Next time you go through another doorway, do another arm. Hold it for that 15, 20 seconds. Get those in throughout your day. You don't have to stop everything as you're doing that, okay? Next one is going to be some arm and forearm stretches, and these are very simple. A lot of us, if we're working with our hands and wrists and things like that on the computer. So basically, hand up in front of you, and what you're going to do is use the other hand and you're going to rotate it. So you're just going to give a little bit of stretch where you can feel it right there, okay? Good, and go the opposite way, just like that. All these muscles that we have in our forearm, there's a whole bunch of them. They work on a rotational part of it, okay? The next one is going to be flexors, wrist flexors like that, and extensors. So this one's really good if you're using your hands quite a bit. So if you pull at the top of your fingertips and you have your arms straight out, you should feel like some little strings pulling. That's also stretching your nerves. So what happens is our nerve comes from our neck here, comes all the way through our arm, past our elbow, and that's how we get our nerves into our fingers. But if we're always like this, what's going to happen to our nerves? All right, they're going to get shorter. So if we can elongate, you can go down now. So then this way now, this is going to do some nerves. Make sure you keep that elbow straight, push at that hand, and then that way you're going to feel that stretch right in here in the elbow as well. So because we're usually flexed arm, we want to do things that are going to straighten it out. So with the nerve stretches, now the other one, flip the palm over, and now we're going to go right in through here. This one you're going to really feel. You're going to feel the muscle stretching and some nerves a little bit going through your hands. That's very key on that. Now for a higher level of a stretch, and it's not in your handout, but basically it's the same thing. If I have my hand up, just like this, all right? And what you're going to do is you're going to bring it all the way out right through here. Now when you bring it out past that shoulder, now everything, remember I said there's two joint muscles and we have the nerves. So when we go out like this, now that nerve you should feel go all the way through your arm in a nice stretch. Okay, now turn the hand over and then keep it back behind you, keep pushing it back, and you should feel that stretching right on there. And then if you do that on each side, it's really important. So if you're always doing computer work, just stopping every hour and just doing this stretch right here, what is it, 15 to 30 seconds, that's it. And you can do both of them at the same time if you would like, but that's very, very important. And then the last slide is just showing you how to do a finger stretch, and you can do one at a time, try to do all of them. But as you do that finger stretch, you will feel, you know, that these muscles that are in your hands, they get overlooked. And so the muscles in your hand need to be stretched as well. All right, now we're going to go to our torso stretches. Okay, so this one he's showing hands across the chest, and now all you're going to do is turn and you would hold it, yes, just right there. And then as you keep your head turning, you should feel it going all the way through that whole torso there. Good. Now, the other thing that I did not mention is make sure we're breathing. So some of these were a little bit easier with the hands, and so we don't want to hold our breath. So work on your inhale and exhale through your nose. All right. Now, the next one is going to be a little bit more increases where you're going to turn the whole torso. So the legs and the hips are staying, but now we're reaching all the way across there. All right, and you would look like Greg is doing here, looking straight out, keeping the head nice, posture up nice, and we're doing this twist. Good, 15, and over to the other side. And make sure we breathe while we're doing that. That will help elongate those muscles. Okay, next one is going to be opposite shoulder, knee, just right there. Nope, not that one. Bring that knee up. And shoulder like that. So that's just a little bit more of a rotational stretch through the torso. We have muscles in between our ribs, and there's no joint in the ribs, so that muscle just stays right inside there. And so there's not a specific stretch for the ribs, but when you do these torsal movements, there's fibers that go between the ribs like this. That's going to help move those and stretch that out. So that way it will help our breathing. Now we can take those deep breaths because those rib muscles are loosened up. All right, let's go ahead and stand up. And everybody's familiar with this one where you're reaching up and over. You can put one hand on the side and go ahead and stretch. No bouncing, just keep pushing with that arm. Now it's important if we're going to go out and do some activities, playing with the kids, doing some ball, random things, whatever it is, a men's group, ladies group, and we're going to go hiking or we're doing some activities. It's always good to warm up and have a little bit of stretch. You won't feel so bad the next day. All right, next one is hands up behind the head, and then this way, going side to side there. So what happens is these look similar, but they're working and stretching separate muscles. Okay, arms straight out to the side, that's good. Arms straight out to the side, and then we're reaching across and twisting. Yep, just like that. Good, and back the other way. All right, now we're gonna go to back. A lot of people have back issues, and so there's a ton of stretches and strengthening exercises and all of that for the back. But I gave you just a few stretches to help you out. And so with this one on the back, we're going to, let's go ahead and start sitting, and then we'll go to laying down. So on this one, what it's showing is basically, and it probably would help if you did have a handle on the chair, but basically you're just lifting up one hip. So you can press and lift up one hip. That's going to, now what you're forcing on the opposite side is that stretch through your back. So if like Greg has his left hip up, so he wants to push his right hip and glute down into the table, the chair, your bed. So you can do this on your bed or on a chair as well. The next one is just reaching forward. We're always forward, but this one is going to give the low back muscles here a good stretching out, okay? Because a lot of times we don't go this far. Make sure you're breathing. So this is one where you're bending forward. Breathing is a little bit more difficult, okay? So just focus on your breathing. All right. Next one, we're going to go ahead and lay down nice and flat. So before you wake up in the morning, this is something that's very easy for you to do. Both legs, bring them up, right, just like that. Now what you're going to do is just drop your legs off to the side. So you don't want to turn your shoulders. You leave your shoulders down, and you're just letting, and relax. Let those legs hang for that. I would say this one I would do 30 seconds. All right, after you've done that 30 seconds, back over to the other side. And then you'll see that as you're doing that, you'll loosen up your back before you get up out of bed, and you won't feel as stiff. All right, good job on that one. Okay, the next one, we're going to drop one leg. There we go. And we're going to bring this one up, and you can grab right behind your knee, behind the knee. There you go. Reason why we don't want to grab on top of the knee is because we don't want to put extra stress on that knee joint. So we want to grab underneath right there. And then what he's doing, again, you're going to be breathing. This is one you can do, add in the morning. Just you're doing a nice stretch for that low back. All right? The next one is going to be both of them coming up. Both of them, so come on up, grab behind, and pull. And make sure that you are also breathing on this and relaxing, and allow that to stretch your back. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and come on up. We're going to stand up, and this one, again, is for the standing, is we're going to get our body out of that forward position. So it's going to go ahead, and you can put your hands on your hips and leaning back. So you can, close your eyes and then relax. Just allow those muscles to just stretch. Okay? This one I would probably do 15 to 30 seconds, just depending. Watch your balance on this one because you are leaning back. That's the easiest way for people to fall. So just make sure that you are next to something if you do have balance issues. All right, the next one that we're going to do is hip and thigh. So the hip and thigh muscles are very important. They all kind of connect up into your pelvic region, and it does affect your back. So a lot of people have back pain because their hip muscles and thigh muscles are tight. All right, so the first one that we're going to do here is going to be sitting in the chair and one knee up on your ankle on the knee, and then you're going to be leaning forward right there. And you're going to feel that this is going to give you a stretch down into that hip, okay? So what we're doing is when we bring that leg up, it's twisting and turning that hip. You're leaning forward, so it gives it a nice stretch right there. Okay, good on that one. All right, the next one that we're going to do is going to be a hamstring stretch. So we're going to kick it out just like that. Again, so you're going to keep your posture up nice and tall. So people have a tendency, go ahead and arch for me, and reach forward forward to your feet. There. A lot of people want to do it like this, and you're not going to get the full effect. Because the hamstring is a large muscle, that one's going over 2 joints. It's going over your knee and that hip joint. So you want to keep up nice and tall, and then lean forward and reach for your leg and keep that head up. Now you're going to feel that stretch through that whole muscle coming all the way down from the hip area to the knee. Okay, this one definitely people, because it's such a large muscle, people like to hold their breath. So make sure that you're breathing, you're working on your deep inhale, exhale for that relaxation. Now this is one that you can do when you're out and about, so go ahead and you can demonstrate down on the step where you stand up. So when I'm at the gas station, especially if we've driven a long period of time, on that is at the gas station, the gas pump is usually on something higher than the regular area. So what I will do is I just put my foot up there and go ahead. You can lean forward, keep your head forward, and you don't have to go very far. And then that way you can stretch that hamstring out because while you've been driving for such a long time. So that helps, and you can switch each foot. By the time you go a couple of times, then your car is filled up. There's another one that you can do that we'll get to, and I'll mention it, so then that way you can do at the gas pump as well. So let's go ahead and sit back down, and this one's going to be for our inner thigh. So our inner thighs don't usually get a whole lot of attention, so this is the one where you're going to go ahead, lean forward, and then you're going to take one shoulder over towards the opposite knee. So the inner thigh muscles, a lot of times we have to work really hard to strengthen those because there's only movements where we're crossing midline that we use that, but they do get very tight, especially us women. If we sit with our legs crossed, those muscles are going to shorten, and so this is a really good stretch to be able to do that as well. All right, next one, we're going to stand up. And we're going to put one foot across, you could face that way, one foot across the other, and then just reaching forward. This is called the iliotibial band stretch. You'll see that on the handout. And this is very important. It's more of a tendon, and it's a large tendon that comes on the outer part of your hip here. And so that is a good stretch for the IT band is how we call it. Good. All right. Next one is very, very important. So this is the one. So on your handout, it's showing a gentleman with his knee on a box or a platform. I'm going to show you how to do it in a chair. I did not find a little diagram that did that, but I will show you here. So basically, to be safe on that is that what you're going to do is one knee on the chair, and then you're going to step forward with the other one. You can go to a countertop or anything like that, and you're going to stretch. The key is keeping the chest up, okay, looking straight forward, and you're going to lunge, so it'll stretch this muscle right here in the front. So if we're sitting all the time, that muscle is getting shortened, and if we do this stretch, it's going to lengthen it out, and you're going to feel a lot better on that. Okay, and the last one is going to be added on to that. If you're not able to do it standing or in the chair, he's going to go ahead and lay down, come to the edge of your bed, and you can drop that leg down, and then you can go ahead and bend that underneath you. You'll feel that stretch, so you just go to the point where it's a comfortable tightness, and that will also do that stretch, and you're able to do it safely as well. All right, good. And so now we're getting down to the leg. We're on the home stretch. So we're doing the lower leg stretches. And so on this one, this is going to be a calf stretch, and there's technical terms for the calf muscles. And so on this one, the first two that you see on your handout, they look very similar. But if you look, the back leg is nice and straight on the first one. All right, so you're going to hold that stretch right there for the lower leg with your heel down flat. That's the key, keeping that knee nice and straight. Now the next one, you'll keep the same position. Now you're just going to bend that knee, back knee, and then you should feel that stretch drop down because we have multiple layers of our calf muscles. And so knee straight, go ahead, is our outer layer. And then the knee bent is the second layer, which is called your soleus muscle. So this is very key that when you stretch your calf muscles, that you stretch both of them on that. And then the next one is the same similar position. Now you're keeping the heel down, you're bending the knee, and you're dropping straight down instead of leaning forward. So the first two, you're leaning forward. This one, we're just dropping straight down. You should feel now that stretch is going to go down into your ankle, which is our Achilles tendon. If you've heard of the Achilles tendon, this is what is stretching that, which is important. Because if it's too tight and people are not stretching, a lot of people have popped that tendon, and it's not fun for recovery by any means. The next one is going to be on the platform. Right off the platform. Another way that you can stretch that's fine, is going to be dropping. You can have a step and drop your heels off of there as well, which would stretch your underneath of your foot, which is the plantar part of your foot. Last but not least, a couple more, is going to be working the ankles. So it's just lifting the toes up as far as you can towards your nose, holding it and letting it stretch. And then the next is pointing them down as far as you can. Keep pointing those toes. All right, and you'll feel that stretch through there. Again, you only go to the point where it feels comfortable. And then the last but not least is just showing you how you can stretch your toes, because we don't want to forget about our toes either on any of that. So all these stretches are intermediate or beginner, so that way everybody can do them. Now there obviously are more high level of these stretches that are out there that you can do, and you can always Google that as well. But our whole thing is we want something that everybody could do when you're out and about doing your daily activities, sitting at your desk, wherever it might be. If you work, and you're on the move, you can do it throughout the day. You can be against your car and do that stretch, or stretch your shoulders. Always think about that. We don't want to have any idleness when we're doing during our day. So we can always throw these in so you don't have to take a part of your day out. So, all right, thank you very much for your help. And I just hope that you are blessed by, that's right, I was reminded about my bonus thing that I have for you. All right, before we have prayer, come on back, Greg. Okay, so I have this special noodle. It's a pool noodle that you can go to the Dollar Tree and get. So go ahead and come on up here, Greg. And you can put your legs straight on up and stay sitting. There we go. So you can get a noodle from Dollar Tree. I like to get a little bit of a bigger one. It just kind of depends. Sometimes they'll get smashed, so you may have to get a new one, but you can get it for $1. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to lean on back, right there, just like that. And you can, so what this is going to do is come right down your spine, and now as you relax, and you can scoot up on it a little bit more if you need to. If you haven't, you can scooch, get your hips on it a little bit better. There you go. And so you can lay on this noodle, and what that's going to do is you can lay there a minute or two when you get home from the end of the day. That is going to get you into that position of that extension of what we're wanting to do. So rather than we've been forward all day, if you just relax, it doesn't seem like it's much, but after you've laid there for 2-3 minutes, you will start feeling it. If for whatever reason you do get a little bit of too much stretch in your back, you can bend your knees up, just like that. But the whole idea is opening this up because our nerves that come from our neck come through our arm right through here. And so those will get pinched and we start having problems with our hands and wrists and things. You can also put your arms out to do a stretch as well. So that is a bonus little movement. You can go get your noodle from the dollar store and put that to use. But as you lay there, and if you enjoy it, lay there for 5 minutes, but it will really open that up and protect you and give you a good stretch on that. All right. Yes, thank you. I hope that you were blessed from this presentation and that we covered everything for you to get started on stretching to help you with better posture and to prevent injury for down the road. So let's go ahead and have a word of prayer while we finish up. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day. And Lord, we were not promised this day, and so thank you for this breath of life, and thank you for our bodies that you've so intricately made, and the tools that you've given us to perform better and to get the right circulation and to get the benefits and decrease pain, dear Lord. And so we just ask that you bless everyone who's watching this video and that they may receive a blessing and be able to do these activities to help them feel better and to also share with others and glorify you. So this is just another tool, dear Lord, to help us, but also to help others as well. And so we just want to thank you for this opportunity, and we ask you all these things in your precious name. Amen.